Sadie, help me. What do we do?
Okay, well, I have some witchy shit we could try.
All right, you guys take out your notebook. First day of school, get a fresh sheet of paper.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Goddess Hangs.
Episode 37.
Woo! Now that we're in the 30s, every week I go 36,
I know.
37, and then we're going to be in the 40s soon. And then before we know it, we're going to be at our 1 year anniversary, number 52. It's going to be crazy.
Well, this is the 1 year anniversary month
Of us being psychic.
Yes, of us being psychic and of us deciding, of Sadie deciding that we're doing a podcast and me deciding
ordering
that I'm
Juliet.
fine with that. So it is a 1 year anniversary, but it took a few months to get the things in place. Yeah.
Yes.
So yay.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because we decided this month and then it was my birthday and Craig and I found this place. So then we were like, let's wait until we move and get the studio put together and stuff. Yeah. Wow. Okay. So crazy. So crazy.
Time flies
When you're having fun. That's right. I'm Sadie.
I'm Juliet. Obviously. Shout out Nick Lachey.
And we have this podcast to make manifestation, magic, spiritual, witchy shit just like relatable and fun. And not so intimidating and serious. We like to just have a laugh. So let's catch up. What's new with you, Juliet?
Well, we're back from Vegas. We had so much fun in Vegas. We hope you enjoyed the Vegas episode live from the bathtub. It gave me a lot of confidence that we can make an episode anywhere.
I want to, okay, we've talked about this before. Goddess Hangs World Tour. Like, I want to start just traveling places like Salem and Roswell and Sedona and Joshua Tree, like going to different places. And we're always going to record in the bathtub. And if there's no bathtub, we will be in the shower.
Yes.
That's going to be our thing. Like a teeny tiny bathtub. And we're like, live from the bathtub.
I love it. I love it. So we got back from Vegas. It took me a while to like recover from that trip. Not that I indulged in anything crazy on the trip, but it was just like such a high of an experience. And it was so fun to go somewhere after a year and a half of going nowhere. And it was so fun to like meet so many people and work and just it was so exciting that after, and we had looked forward to it for so long that after it was over, I did feel that little dippity doo-dah that comes. Yep. And so I did a lot of resting when I got back, and I finally feel like today, as funny as that sounds, like a week later, a full week later, I like now feel perked back up again. But yeah, we did a lot while we were there.
I didn't leave my house except for a walk on the beach, but like I didn't do anything for 3 whole days. I just was like, I don't want to see anybody. I want to be home alone with my cats. I want to go for a walk outside once a day. But like, it's just, when you're in Vegas, you're 100% of the time surrounded by tons and tons of people, whether we were like working or like walking to dinner or at dinner or whatever. It's just like people. It's a lot of energy, even though it was like such fun energy. But it's just fun. Like, I was like, energy hangover, but not like, you know what I mean? Yes. Not like an actual hangover, but it was just like, wow, I'm just really freaking tired.
So I had to come down from the Vegas excitement. And then this is something I have a tendency to do, which is what we're going to talk about a lot in the episode today. Once I manifest one really big thing, it makes me want the next one really, really bad. And it makes me want the next one right now. And I want the answers immediately. And I want to hear from people immediately. And I want the email back immediately. Like once you realize you can do one big thing, you're like, I want to do all the big things.
Yeah. And how like effortless and easy that one big thing was. And you're like, oh, so this is how it's always going to be, right?
So it's sort of been like coming back, grounding myself again, and slowing down my wheels that are very insistent right now that things have to happen right now and I have to know right this second. So that's been new with me. I've also been watching YouTube videos about rock hounding.
Oh yes, I got a text the other day. Can we go rock hounding? Or I want to go rock hounding.
There's a place in San Diego where you go. And it's $75.
Okay.
Oh my God. Goddess Hanks field trip.
Yes.
We'll tell you when we're going.
Vlog it, however that works. We'll figure it out.
You can meet us there and do it with us.
Oh my God. Yeah, we have a lot of babes that are in Southern California.
Oh my God. Okay, let us know. Comment if you want to do Goddess Hanks.
And if you want to fly in, please do.
Rock hounding adventure, and then we can like all go to dinner. So you get there at 11 a.m. I watched all the videos on it. You get a bucket of dirt and rocks, and then you go over to your sorters and you put them in the grids and you wash them off, and then it's mostly just gravel, but once in a while you'll find like an aquamarine or a morganite or a tourmaline, and sometimes
you just keep what you find, right?
You can fill up a whole bucket. And so sometimes people will come and they'll spend $75 and they'll leave with like a $5,000 stone.
Oh my God.
And so
and it's just that where that location sits, it's like there's crystals existing there, or do they bring in these piles of dirt from like mines and stuff?
I think it's from the mines on the property.
On the property. Okay. Wow.
They just
have,
don't bring you into
stuff.
a mine. They just bring all the dirt back
to you. That sounds safer.
Yeah. So, of course, I want to go into a cave and like,
there to,
and find like a huge crystal. So I've been watching videos on that. So yeah, my recent obsessions have been rock hounding, cryptocurrency, and which I won't get into, and like what's next for us? What can I help book for us next? Who can I reach out to? So it's been a busy day in the mind of Juliet. A busy week since we got back from Vegas, and it was just I felt so like we were exactly where we were supposed to be when we were there. It was like so aligned.
Totally.
And so, it's just been, we're going to talk about it more later, but trying to get back into that aligned feeling even while you wait for the next thing.
Yeah, totally.
What's been new with you?
Oh boy. Well, we did Vegas. The episode was so fun. I watched, I don't typically rewatch the episodes because we're here doing them, but I rewatched quite a bit of it because it was a fun episode. Like I said, it took about 3 days of like doing nothing. Just needed to recover and like recoup my energy. But then I've been working on catching up on some readings because my dad was here, and then we had Vegas, and then I like just was like so like we did so many readings, so I needed a little time. And then I was been catching up, and I'm still working on catching up, but I just had some like really good readings, and I just feel like I've I don't know, I was having like a little bit of a block for a little while. I felt like not completely, but just like it just didn't feel like stuff was flowing. Like I felt like I really had to search for it, and when I would sit down and try to do a reading, I was really distracted, and I couldn't just like close my eyes and like the stuff flood through like it used to. And I just feel like that's feelings back, and one of those reasons is because I did a spiritual coaching session with our mentor that we've mentioned before, Medium Megan Hart, who will be on the podcast very soon, finally.
Yes.
We're very excited. But I felt like it was such like a simple session that I had with her, but we really just like talked through some stuff, and she helped me like kind of like raise up my vibration again and clear out some funky energy. And then it took about like a week after that, and then now I just feel like stuff is like flooding through. I was texting Juliet because it was funny, like we've talked about before, like we both have very like strict boundaries with spirit that we love Teresa Caputo, Long Island Medium, but we are not her in that we're at the grocery store and we're like, oh my gosh, I have to tell this person that this person's here or whatever. We have a boundary that we are like, we don't want that. But then I woke up one morning and I was getting all of this. It was like I was dreaming, but I when you're like waking up and you're kind of in between sleep and awake, where you kind of remember the dreams. It was like I was dreaming, but I knew it wasn't mine. And then as I started waking up more, I was like, oh no, I know who this is for. And I kept telling, it was two very like strong-willed women. So I was like, of course, it was the kind of energy I was like, oh, you figured out how to break through my barrier. Like, all right. But I was like, no, like I don't just surprise people with this. It's not my style. Like, I was like, no. And they were like, do you think that this person is going to come in contact with someone who can talk to us and we're not going to talk to them? It was like, no, we're talking to them. So I was like, sorry, but can I tell you? And they were like, all right, whatever. And then they were like, oh my God. So that was funny, but I had to reinstate some of my energetic boundaries. But it was very funny. I was like, sorry.
Oh my gosh.
And this was to a person that is not into this and was kind of like, well, all right, like, go ahead. And then it was pretty cool. So that was very funny and fun.
You had a Teresa moment.
I did. I put it off for 2 hours and then they wouldn't leave me alone and I had to do other readings that day. So I was like, fine. What else is new? Well, when this episode comes out, my birthday party will have happened. But I'm having my birthday party in LA a week early because I'm spending my actual birthday in Chicago with like my high school besties, which I'm very excited about. So this weekend is my Halloween themed 30th birthday party. Julia arrived today and I've already got half of the decorations out because I couldn't wait.
Yeah.
And I was wearing my witch hat all morning while I was like putting stuff out, and I'm just so excited. And I'm not going to take those decorations down. Like,
oh no,
they're just up through Halloween, and I usually keep them up until Thanksgiving. So I'm just so excited. I got my playlist ready. I bought all these extra decorations, and maybe we'll do a little, the next time we'll do a little slideshow of it. But I'm just so excited because I've been buying stuff and preparing for my birthday party. And I don't know, that's kind of it. There's some other stuff, but not going to talk about it yet.
Okay.
Be mysterious. So yeah, it's been a good week.
I'm so happy to be back with you guys. So happy
I know we recorded last week, but we haven't been here in this space for a while. So I feel like it's been a long time.
I know. It's nice. It's nice. Good to be home.
Good to be home. Good to be home.
Speaking of home goods, TJ Maxx. Sadie was at
Home Goods, TJ Maxx backpacks.
Sadie was at TJ Maxx yesterday, and I get a message from her, a video, and she's like, "Do we need these?" And it was all these sparkly backpacks for third graders.
Yes.
And I saw them and I was like, oh, absolutely, we need those. Because when we worked in Vegas, we brought our backpacks to put like our cards and our crystals and our water bottles, whatever, in. But they weren't like sparkly iridescent backpacks. And so would you like to show off your backpack first?
So I just want to say how grateful I am that I have a friend that I can see a display of sparkly backpacks and go, oh, I know who will buy one of these with me.
I said, I will Venmo you right now.
Dun, 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 dun.
Sadie, if you're listening, Sadie is holding up a Barbie pink iridescent backpack.
Full sequins that changes.
Rainbow butterfly
we'll do
sequins.
ASMR.
Ooh, you hear that?
I don't know. I hate ASMR. It makes me anxious, but people seem to like it. It's rainbow with a big sequin blue butterfly. And Juliet, what does yours look like?
Mine, I wore my outfit today to match it.
No, can we talk about Juliet? I don't know if you can tell, but Juliet's wearing a very sparkly rhinestoney dress to match her iridescent.
I'm actually going to get closer and show you all the details. Okay.
Fashion show at lunch.
Okay.
When Juliet and I worked together at the store, we would say that all the time. Oh, because our boss would always bring in clothes to get rid of.
Okay. So check this out. We have an iridescent heart that has like the little sparkles in it. So when you shake it, they move around. This also has little sparkles. I don't want to get too close because the lighting's nice and I don't want to adjust it again. But look how cute this is. And then my dress, if you can see, is also iridescent today. And so are my nails. So it's just a full-on we thought, you know what, we'll show off our new backpacks and we'll make today a little bit of a back to school episode because all the kiddos are going back to school this week.
And Juliet and I need to go back to manifestation school because we just had this big event and we have a lot of big things in the works and we're having a hard time keeping our cool and surrendering. So we thought we would kind of talk that out with you all. We know it's very relatable. I always laugh when I'm trying to, you know, teach my courses about manifestation. I'm like, we'll get really clear on what you want and go get it and then pretend you don't want it anymore. Gotta be not that you don't want it or not even pretending, but you just have to surrender and be indifferent as to whether it comes to you or not. Trusting that it's all working out for your highest good, which is really hard when you get really clear on what you want.
It's very hard because I think a lot of people struggle with there's a couple main blocks. Either you're like, I don't know what I want, okay? We know exactly what we want. Or it's, I've just not taken any inspired action. I'm scared. I am up till 3 a.m. taking inspired
I get emails from Juliet that say, hello from your night owl friend.
Yeah, it'll be like 2:56 a.m. I'm like, what about these for ideas?
50 links of things I should look at.
So like, that's not the issue. So it's like all the steps are aligning beautifully. And then there's the last part where it's like, and then you just have to surrender and decide that it's done and not think about it anymore. And that's where I get hung up sometimes.
Totally. I do too. And like we said, we just had this like, what am I trying to say? This string of events that happened so perfectly and so quickly with like the intuitive nudge. Let's go to a flea market. Was at the flea market within a couple weeks. Met someone at the flea market. Couple weeks later, booked a big thing with them. Couple weeks later, got to complete the thing. And we're like, wow, we listened to our intuition and we took action and then we did it and we got it and we manifested meeting amazing people and making a bunch of money and all of these beautiful things. So that's going to happen every time, right?
So I guess what we need to dive into today, and in the school of manifestation revisiting, sorry, dropped my beautiful backpack. I was torn between the butterfly one and this one, and then I just could not get this one out of my head. And then I figured you wanted the butterfly one,
I like
so
butterfly.
It worked out
and
perfectly.
It's a blue butterfly, and that's been like I don't know if you've heard other podcast episodes, like butterflies have always been associated with my mom who has crossed over. And more recently, I've been kind of like playing with like challenging her and her signs, you know, and I started asking for a blue butterfly.
Oh, then that's perfect.
And so then I found the blue butterfly backpack, which felt very divine.
I love it. So what can we do? Like we're literally going to talk through what can we do and what will help us feel like we're aligned, like we're surrendering, and you guys can sort of listen in or watch in on a brainstorming session and hopefully some big enlightening ideas will come out of it. Because I'm literally looking at Sadie right now saying, what do I do?
Help me. So let's quickly revisit steps 1 through 4, like how we manifest, like how we teach how to manifest. So we kind of just said it, but I just want to be clear for anyone who's like new to the podcast. We have other episodes that we talk about this more in depth, but we always say, and everyone that teaches manifestation is pretty much the same. But step 1 would be to get clear on what you want and set the intention. Step 2, I would say, would be to get into the feeling that it's already yours. So that could be visualization exercises, that could be meditating, that could be doing something like listening to a song that makes you feel really high vibe and excited, and so you feel like in that energy. But when we want something, we don't like, it's not like the thing that we want the feeling that the thing gives us. So if we get in the feeling, it's going to help open up those intuitive channels to get the nudges we need to take inspired action, which is a step above just simply taking action. So then step 3 would be to follow through on the inspired action that you'll receive after you tell yourself and the universe what you want and you get yourself in the vibration that you already have it. Then the next step would be inspired action. And then the final step would be to surrender and let go and get in the energy of I know this is going to work out best case scenario for me, and it's this or something better. So I can completely surrender and let go and feel more or less indifferent in receiving the thing I really want, because I know it's that or something better. So if I don't get the thing I want, it's because something better is happening. And that's the step we're hung up on. So that's my quick hashing out of the process that we're kind of we've gone through with I'm getting, my brain's running a million miles a minute. We have a lot of things happening for us right now that we can't freaking tell you. I feel like maybe we needed to start a Patreon so we can privately tell people some of the stuff.
Oh, that's an interesting idea.
We have a lot of secret projects that we can't publicly talk about. Would you guys be interested in like a bonus episode every month of like our secret things going on that we can't share with everyone yet? I feel like that might be fun.
Interesting.
Let us know.
That's interesting.
But we have a lot of seeds planted. We've listened to our intuition. We've taken inspired action. We've followed up on the inspired action.
And now, for lack of a better word, the ball is in their court.
Yes.
For almost every project I'm thinking of right now, every opportunity.
And it's just a lot of things, and it's a lot of big exciting things. So it's really hard because this one big exciting Vegas thing happened so freaking fast and easily. And it's like, okay, so like it's good to be in the energy of like it continues to be that easy, and I'm trying to hold on to that, but it's just so exciting. And it's okay if some of these things are a no, but it's just hard not knowing. It's so hard not knowing, because we know, I have no shadow of a doubt that if like the one thing doesn't work out, it's only because something better is coming along. So like I'll be disappointed for a minute, but then I'll be like, oh, but then what better is coming along? Like I'll be there. But okay, so how do we let go?
Me. What do we do?
Okay, well, I have some witchy shit we could try.
All right, you guys take out your notebook. First day of school, get a fresh sheet of paper.
So I think what we're going to do after we're done recording today is burn some shit. Whenever I talk about burning things, let me say this. It is at your own risk to do anything I'm saying.
Goddess Hangs is not responsible for any fire-related problems, injuries, wildfires. This is not...
Be very careful, and I'll give you safety tips, but I am not recommending you do this at home.
This is just Sadie telling her story.
Yes.
About what she's going to do.
And if you follow me on Instagram, you know that I've ruined my coffee table and many other things with fire. So be very, 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 very
Even
careful.
in our Goddess Handbook, available now, which is full of spells and fun things, there's a little part on every page that mentions fire that says, burn fire at your own risk.
Yes.
We are not responsible. The lawyers in our hearts, the lawyer spirit guides were like, make sure you add that. Thank you.
You gotta.
Anyways.
I know you guys are all super careful and but we have to say it at your own risk always. But what we're going to do is write what's bothering us on little slips of paper.
Okay.
So it could be a sentence or a keyword. I actually was talking to someone this morning on Instagram about this. And it wasn't to do with the same thing, but just like a releasing spell. And it's just so simple. But to just literally write everything out. You could also just do one sheet of paper and do like a rant journal entry of like, just let the ego and let the fear and the anxiety part of you just like go to town and write it all out, because you're like getting it out and you're expressing it rather than holding on to it and trying to like push it down or say you don't exist or whatever. What our first instinct might be to just kind of push it away, just to like let it have its moment to speak. Writing it all down or writing it on separate slips of paper, and then taking a moment to really, like a meditation, but like allowing yourself to, instead of trying to zen yourself out with the meditation, to sit there and like allow yourself to feel it. just feel frustrated and anxious and fearful and like I can't wait any longer, like anything that's there. So this is generally for like a releasing spell. For us, it's about releasing, letting go of our need to know what's going to happen. Sitting in it, just allowing it to feel, letting it happen. And then, and what I like to do for us is have these little like plier tweezer things to hold the paper or whatever we're burning, because then it's not close to your fingers. I have a little cauldron, but if you're doing this at your own risk, you can get a bowl and fill it with salt or sand or water, so you have something to kind of like let the ashes burn into and extinguish it out. But we're going to burn those slips of paper, and like as we watch the smoke rising and the ash disintegrating, just feeling like, okay, I allowed that to have its moment, and I can see, I have proof in front of my eyes that it is gone now. I gave it its moment, and then I thankfully, gratefully like let it go. And then I sit afterwards again and sort of meditate again, but this time going into that good feeling and almost like visualizing the smoke coming out of my own body, of like that stuff lifting out, like smoke, just like,
oh, I love
lifting
that,
out of me. So that's what we're gonna do tonight.
As you explain that to me, which I can't wait to do it, by the way. I texted Sadie either yesterday or today, and I was like, can we do something? Because
yeah, and then I said we'll burn some shit.
I just had this visual, and it made me feel really good as I saw it. And so let's say I want this thing really bad, and there's an angel or a spirit or God, the universe, whatever, an entity that is like, hand it to me.
That's what my mom used to always do with me. Aww. With my anxiety. I think I've talked about that before too. Yeah.
Aww. So it was like, I'm seeing this beautiful like being floating, and almost as if I have it on a scroll of paper. They're like, just hand it to me, I'll take care of it. And I'm like, no, but I want it. And they're like, just, if you hand it to me, I can take care of it. And so I just pictured like that would be a good visualization for us too, to picture us like actually fully handing it over, and then whoosh, it goes away. And it's almost like a good comparison is, you can write a letter and you can put a stamp on it, but until you drop it in the mailbox and get it out of your hand, it's not going to get where it needs to go. Even if it's the most well-written letter in the world. So it's like, I think that might be a good visualization for us too.
Yes. Yeah, I remember my mom was always like, whenever you feel things are too hard or too heavy, you just like, I would visualize almost like a rock of just like, I can't hold on to this anymore. Can you help me? Because that's what our spirit team is there for, is to like support us, give us the intuitive nudges, but also to like help hold on to some of whatever it is, whether it's, you know, what would you call what we're feeling? Like, I'm not feeling like frustrated. Impatient. Yeah. Whether it's impatience or fear or grief or heartbreak or whatever, that like they're always there to like turn around and say, can you please hold some of this? And they're happy to do it. They want to help you.
And I will say, in this frequency and energy of impatience, I am not getting nudges, I am not getting messages, I'm blocking myself. That's the thing.
Yeah.
So, okay, we can do some visualizing, we can do some writing, some releasing, some burning at your own risk.
At your own risk. That's the episode name. At your own risk.
You're back to school at your own risk. Which is what it's like going back to school now, sadly. But let's not get into that. What else can we do? How else can we surrender?
Well, I think something that has helped me when I'm like feeling that kind of like grasping or that like desperate energy, right? Putting myself in the scenario of like, okay, so let's say that this thing that you're grasping for doesn't come when you want it to, or doesn't come at all. What's going to happen and how will you feel? And when I put myself in that position, most of the time I'm like, oh my gosh, I am working myself up way more than I need to be. You know what I mean? Of just like, I'm getting myself so worked up, like this is the end all be all of my life. And then I put I like kind of like forward the timeline and say, what happens if this doesn't happen? And I'm like, oh, I'm fine.
Yeah.
Because even though we have some really big, exciting things that we really want to happen, at the end of the day, I'm like, all right, I'll still be living my freaking best life.
I want to talk more about the channeling, communicating with your future self, because it's so, I think the best example of when I did that, and I know I talk about this a lot, but it was a big deal for me when I moved.
Yeah.
When I moved out of my parents' house, after many, many years of being very comfortable there, I was exceptionally overwhelmed.
I remember.
It was, I was shaking and heart racing and couldn't sleep for 4 weeks. It was hard. 'Cause change is scary. But I remember I just kept feeling like I could tap into this version of me 6 months later that was like, oh my God, this is going to be the best choice you ever made. And you're going to feel so independent and so comfortable and so this, and you're going to expand into other ways. And I really felt that, and it got me through it. And now I know that was me presently jumping a timeline and connecting with me then.
Yeah.
So I like that idea of okay, well, what do Juliet and Sadie in 2022 have to say about all of this? And if I were to guess, it would be, I'm almost seeing if this one big thing that we're hoping for, if the ball drops, I'm hearing if that happens, it's a blessing in disguise. Yep. Because it's like that little, have you seen that picture where Jesus is holding, it doesn't have to be Jesus, but I'm not,
I like Jesus.
Okay.
I was raised Catholic, and I don't even consider myself Catholic or really a Christian. I'm just spiritual, but I think Jesus is dope.
Okay, so Jesus is holding a huge teddy bear behind his back, and this little kid is holding a very tiny teddy bear and holding onto it tight and says, "But Jesus, I don't want to give it to you." And Jesus says, "Just trust me," because he's got a bigger teddy bear.
We're waiting on the big old teddy bear.
So I'm hearing if the small bear drops, there's a bigger bear. So
that's what I really believe.
Like
And the time, most of the time when working on manifesting something, jumping the timeline, I would move myself forward to feel it done and how that feels and how good it feels and how exciting. But doing this is part of the practice of letting go of let's jump forward, and instead of dipping into the feeling of it's already done, it's mine, it's happened, the not happening, most of the time when I do that and I get in that feeling, that version of myself kind of laughs at me a little bit and is just oh, you have no idea. You're being so silly right now, working yourself up. You're so funny. It's so cute that you think that these things are out of reach or far away.
Oh, I like that.
Or it's oh, you're precious. Just hold your horses. Enjoy your time to yourself right now. Enjoy where you're at right now, because when it happens, it's gonna happen, and everything's gonna change. Yeah. And so you need to just enjoy, and you're gonna look back on this time with a lot of nostalgia of oh, right before that breakthrough, right before. So that's something that also helps, is just jumping forward, and whether it happened or not, that version of me always is looking back at the version of me now, almost turned around at present me, and it's just you're so cute that you're jumping up here to check it out, and you're stressed or you're impatient. You're so adorable. It's that an older sister energy or something of just enjoy it, or mom, you're only young once, don't try and grow up so fast. And it's not about being a kid into an adult, but it's just about being at this level of life, and then that next growing into that, and they're just no, oh my gosh, you need to just enjoy where you're at. Stop being so impatient. Everything's perfect and amazing and how it's supposed to be right now. And you're going to look back on this time with a lot of oh.
Yeah. Have you seen that trending reels where it's these moms, and they seem like younger moms, and it says I love you, but I miss her, and it shows them holding the baby. Those make me so sad. I hope I don't. Although I think all moms feel that way for like a minute.
Yeah, you're different. Your life is completely different.
But it's like they show you like, you know, they show her as a mother, like with her baby, and just she's glowing and she loves her child. And then it's like, but I do sometimes miss her, and it shows like the traveling and the running around and the partying and whatever the life was like before. And sometimes that sort of like snaps me back into reality where it's like, oh, like I'm living a time in my life that I will inevitably probably miss someday.
Yeah, and another thing that helps is just being like, I do this all the time where I'll like go back to like being like 18 or like 21 and like the like graduating high school or the like year or two into college where I know like how anxious I was back then and like feeling so bad, and so I'll kind of bring myself jumping that timeline back. And so I am right now the one looking back and going, you're so cute, you're so adorable, look where I am now. So I have both of those energies of like me looking forward and future me turning back and saying that to me. And then because it's an honest feeling of like when I turn around, so to speak, and look back at little me, you know, late teens, early 20s, and I really do get to say that with all honesty of just like, you're so cute, just enjoy where you're at now, everything's gonna work out, like look at me now, like oh my god, you never would have possibly fathomed that you'd be living by the beach in LA meeting people you see on TV. That's still the wild one to me. I'm like, little me would think I was so freaking cool.
I know go on.
And just with everything in my life, doing this, being a witch, like, I would just be like, I would never, ever have seen my life coming to this point. And now I'm at this point and I'm impatient for the next thing. Are you freaking kidding me? Like, appreciate it, girl.
Oh, I like that gratitude.
Yeah.
Gratitude. Look at all the things we've already manifested and like soak that up.
Yes.
Ooh, that feels good. I was just thinking like 17-year-old me, if 17-year-old me, which I have such a connection to being 17 because that's when I was like really doing my shows for the first time and like booking out venues and filling up rooms and recording my music and putting it online and falling in love, quote unquote. If 17-year-old me met 30-year-old me in this sparkly outfit with my fun new backpack, which I've now shown off 3 times. And I was like, oh yeah, like I'm a professional songwriter and I work on major shows and I work with artists and I put my own songs out. And, you know, I also have this podcast and I do all of like the card readings, all the things you presently love now. And it's part of how I make a living. And I feel like I get to inspire people and have fun and just live my life. And I have the best boyfriend in the world. And we have a very cute 2-bedroom apartment. She would be like, are you kidding me? She'd be like, you are so cool.
Yes. That's all I strive to be, is the person who a decade prior would be like, oh my God, you're so cool. So I can't wait to see where I'm at when I'm 40 because if I'm this cool already. Oh,
I know.
That's my favorite thing. That's one of my favorite practices, is just to go back and be like,
and go on. I keep interrupting you.
Just say that. just say like, oh, if you only knew. And so then I think that helps me where I'm at now. And then thinking about, oh, me in a year, 2 or 10 years being like, oh, if you only knew, you know?
And I see myself in 10 years in a beautiful home. I see 2 little children. I see like flowers and crystals. I see the whole thing and just the expansion. And I'm just like, well, how do I get there? And then
totally.
That energy is like, don't worry about it. It's just going to happen. So keep doing what you're doing.
Because all of this just happened. It happened because we made it happen. But yeah, if I was 18 and then I saw a flash of this life, I think I would almost be stressed because I'd be like, well, I can't possibly make all that happen. Like, I'd have no idea how to make that happen. It would probably stress me out a little. Like,
right,
I'm never going to live up to that. What if I mess it up and I don't end up on that timeline or something? So it's just funny because it's like, know what you want.
Yeah.
And let go of the how.
That's the main lesson.
Yeah.
For today. Let go of the how.
You plant your seeds. You try and stay open to the intuitive nudges, which we have a great episode, How to Be Psychic, which talks a lot about tapping into your intuition, if you want to check that out. But trying to stay in that energy and doing, and like, yeah, like I guess hopping timelines is honestly so powerful. And when we say that, it just literally means like sitting down and closing your eyes and bringing yourself there. Like, and I don't know how you want to describe that more in depth. If they're like, what do you mean hopping timelines?
Just imagine, just like
imagination.
Visualize. And then if you think of like, and then I go back another however many years, and if the 10-year-old version of me, who was, I think, my favorite version of me. Oh my God.
The 10-year-old version of me was devastated that she didn't get her Hogwarts letter, because I genuinely thought it could happen to me. And now I'm a witch for a living. Could you imagine?
Oh my God.
Could you imagine 10-year-old me? I actually did do that recently in one of my meditations, and I started crying. So I was like, 10-year-old me was so sad. And I couldn't tell anybody, because I was like, I'm too old to think that I was going to get a Hogwarts letter. But I really thought, because at that point I had reread every book out so far like 100 times. I would just reread it and finish it and like open the first page back up again and read it again.
You were so sad that you weren't going to get to be a witch, and now you are one.
And now I am one.
Oh my God, that makes me emotional.
It's really sweet.
I wanted to be a songwriter more than anything. That's all I wanted to do. That's all I wanted to do. I wanted to sing and perform and write songs for all the artists. And I just imagined, like, if I knocked on the door of my house in 2001 and 10-year-old Juliet answered, and I was like, oh, I'm me in the future. This is what you're going to do. This is who you're going to be.
Give me a hug. And
she'd be like, really? That's the feeling. It'd be like, are you really?
I think I was really shy when I was little, so I probably would have ran away.
But I just would have been, oh my God, tell me everything. Let's write right now. Let's write a song right now.
I want to know, for everyone listening or watching, what did you want to be more than anything when you were 10 years old? And comment it, because you could still do that. I just think, like, I'm just imagining me thinking like, oh, my daydream was to like be at Hogwarts, and I would imagine that and what it would be like and all that stuff. And obviously that's not how it played out, but then I still figured out a way to be a witch, and it's just funny. Like, it's just your maybe like childlike, childish, unrealistic dream can still manifest in your adult life. It just doesn't look like quite so literal to that. Like, no, I'm not like transforming into a cat, or I'm not
and I'm not selling out the Staples Center at this moment.
Yeah, but I'm still
but you're still a witch, and I'm still a writer.
Oh my God, I had an insane meditation that I forgot I need to tell you about.
Oh,
we'll do it at the end.
Okay.
During spooky time. It's not spooky, but we'll just do it at the end.
Okay.
It just because I was like thinking about magic stuff I do, and I was like, oh my God, wait, I actually had a really crazy meditation recently. Anyways,
I love these tips. You can, for releasing and surrendering, you can burn things at your own risk. That should be our merchandise, at your own risk.
At your own risk.
Like a really...
We'll have a sticker that says that.
You can burn things. You can do journaling. You can do meditating and visualizing. You can play with the timeline. And really what that means, like what we're saying, is just like, just imagine.
A daydream.
Yeah, it's a daydream.
Let yourself daydream. You don't even, especially if you have an aversion to meditating, daydream.
Take a walk and think about it while you walk. You don't have to sit still.
Yeah, that's actually what I think I talked about that a few episodes ago. That's my new manifesting thing every day, is like going for a walk, playing music that makes me feel like crazy high vibe. And then I'm like walking and I'm seeing Juliet and I on billboards, and me driving my fancy car and all this stuff. And I'm like, I don't know exactly what this is all attached to. I have an idea, but I'm just imagining like what all that feels like, and not focusing it on like, but how do I get this thing itself, of just like, what would it feel like to drive past and be like, oh my God, I'm on that billboard with Juliet. What would it feel like to be like in my new car? And like, it's so freaking fun, especially if you don't like to just sit down. It's way more fun than just sitting down and visualizing all that stuff.
Well, and we know it's possible because my neighbor Vivi is a model, and when we were in Vegas, she was on like a huge billboard there, and we're like, oh my God, she's everywhere on billboards and stuff, and all over the world. And it's just like, oh yeah, people that we know in real life, like
they're on billboards. Why can't
like
we be? We're gonna have a goddess hanging billboard, manifesting that.
Totally.
So that's you don't. It doesn't have to make it work for you. Maybe you're just doodling or drawing or painting or walking or whatever, but we'll say it now, we've said it before, we'll say it again. Feeling. That's how you open up the channel. That's how you get the intuition flowing.
And that's how you attract what you want is by matching the feeling of it.
Yeah, because that makes your frequency vibrate at it. So then it like literally has no choice but to come to you.
So that's another thing we can do today is we can like, if we already had blank, how would we be feeling? How would we be acting? What's something we would do? Where would we go to eat? What would we be talking about? So
yeah, I think that's important when you're working on releasing is to then go and immediately or within like a very short period of time also fill up that space with the good. Like, okay, released all this like funky energy out that's not serving me, but then don't just go about your day because you might just replace it with more, you might replace it with more funky energy. Then take the time to feel and bring in like, all right, this is actually how I'm going to vibrate now instead of what I just released.
And here's a way you can tell if you're reaching that point. There's an area in your life where you have a certainty, like there's where it's like, I'm certain I will always be close with my sister. I'm certain I will get married at some point. I'm like, there's some certainties that you just know without a doubt. And those feel very like secure and like just facts of life. Like I'm certain the sun will rise tomorrow. Hopefully. So there's certainties that we have. And so it's like, how can you get in the energy of, I'm certain that this thing I want is going to happen because there's other things in your life that you're absolutely certain of.
Totally. And what comes super easily to you and like then bring that energy over into what is a little bit more like sticky. Like it's just not so easy flowing. Like some people find like attracting and having good relationships easy. And that flows really good in their life. But then they have a hard time with money. Well, how can you bring your certainty and energy that you bring into like attracting a nice or a partner that you love and maintaining a good relationship? How can you bring your confidence in that area of your life into money or vice versa? Or with friendships, or with, taking care of or getting along with your family? Like, what are the parts of your life that are just very natural and like your instinct is like really tapped into? How does that feel? Like, pay attention to that, how easy it is and how you just don't question it at all, and practice bringing that same energy into the stickier, like not so certain parts of your life.
Because they're all just parts of your life. It's just where you put your certainty, your consistency, your energy. And we're saying this because we need to work on that today.
Oh yeah, we're feeling sticky, bro.
Icky sticky.
Icky sticky. But it's okay. It's a part of the cycle. It's normal. And that's why we wanted to start this podcast, because it's like we're right there with you. And that's what I had a group call with my money mindset magic babes, our last call together. And every question they had for me or like thing we were kind of chatting about, I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm right there with you. This is how I've been feeling. This is how I've been navigating it. And it was that's why I like love teaching this stuff and having this podcast, because it's like we're in a conversation with you. We're not like talking down to you that like no. We've got it all figured out and like we're teaching it. Like we're still teaching it to you, but we don't have it all figured out. We're figuring it out with you, and that's why I think it's so fun. We're figuring it out with each other. It's not like one of us is like, yes, this is how you do it, and I know everything, and listen to me. We also balance each other out really well, which we've talked about before. But it's just fun because it's like, yeah, no, we're right here with you. We know you're here with us too.
So if you have tips for us to help us surrender and chill out,
chill the fuck out.
Feel free to leave a comment, because we would love to add on to our list.
Yes.
Of tips and tricks to surrender.
Surrender.
Everyone surrender.
I feel like we covered that pretty good. Is there any other before we do our
No, let's move on to our segments. Which one's first?
Let's do Psychic Babes Hotline.
Psychic Babes Hotline.
Woo! Okay, let me grab my computer.
Doofenshmirtz Evil Incorporated. So
if you want to submit to 1-800-PSYCHIC-BABES, which is not a phone number, so don't call it, or call it and let us know what happens. If you're on, wherever you are, and on YouTube or podcast, in the show notes, you'll see a link. Or if you have us on Instagram, which you should add us on Instagram at Goddess Hangs, the link in our bio, you'll see a little link that says Psychic Babes Hotline. Fill out the form. We have a spot where you can add a nickname, so that if you want to remain anonymous and not put your real name, like, you still know that we're talking to you. Well, I mean, you would know from the question, so whatever, but it's anonymous if you'd like it to be, is my point. And we're just going to give you our advice, our intuitive advice. So Nisa, we're answering your question today, and Nisa says, is my family still grieving? And if so, is it affecting the relationship they have with me and my brother? So we're going to feel into this a little bit. But I want to say, to start out with, is that grief is forever. It really is. And I'm sure you're kind of asking about it, are they still grieving in a sense of like that initial, like, deep, like, really heartfelt grieving. Not that it's not really heartfelt later on, but I know that you're probably referencing to like that initial level of grieving where everything's just dark. But I would say, yes, grief is forever, and it comes in cycles, and of course it affects everyone's relationship that is still living, because and maybe we'll feel into who you could be referencing, but I can just say, with me and my family, and after losing my mom, and we're coming up on the 6th anniversary of that, which is so crazy to me.
Oh, wow.
6 years. It feels like sometimes it still feels like it's not real, like it hasn't happened. Sometimes it feels like it happened yesterday, and sometimes it feels like a lifetime, because it's just so long to not see somebody. And me and my dad and my brothers all love each other so much, and we have great relationships, but we struggled with how to be open about our own grief journey with each other. And I talked about this recently after I was home in Wisconsin, of just having new breakthroughs in that. So I would say, yeah, probably is affecting your relationships, and that's okay. And to give yourself and your loved ones patience and space in the process, but to also be clear about what you need, like what kind of support do you need, and how can they support you, or asking for, like, you know what, maybe it's hard for us to support each other because we're all still grieving. Is there someone you can help me find to talk to that's outside of this, like a grief counselor or something, because it's really, really hard, and there's no like one right way to grieve. And from my experience, the initial grieving is not necessarily done in like a healthy manner, because you kind of want to like ignore it and push it away. That's my truth in my situation of what happened. So my answer initially would just be to say, like, yeah, I'm sure your family is still grieving, and I'm sure there is things that feel different and maybe not so good about your relationship with that.
So what I'm being shown is that the dad has the big knot in him emotionally. I'm feeling like the two parents are dealing with it very, very differently. So the dad has the big knot and is like almost being shorter and maybe quicker to get like I don't know if angry is the word, but I'm feeling like this big knot that is trying to be hidden, that is causing like why is dad in such a bad mood for no reason? Like there's a big knot in him. And then with the mother figure, I'm feeling like if somebody, this isn't literal, but like taps her the wrong way, or this might be more literal, says the wrong word, or like the rain falls in the wrong spot, she just falls apart. Like I'm feeling there's like, it's like he's being a giant knot because she can't keep it together. And so it's coming out in like one is shutting off and one is having these like outbursty type things. I'm
also seeing like a small like space and like trying to fit in that of like, I'm getting the sense it's meaning like you or maybe everyone in your family is like trying to fit some sort of expectation of a timeline or of like what it should look like, or just like, all right, like we need to just move on, it needs to be better now, of like trying to like fit in a certain space. And it's like there's a small space and there's too much energy and too much, it's not going to fit in there. It's not going to look like the way that you all are, or someone is setting an expectation for it to look like.
I'm also seeing they're making me feel like it's a male and younger-ish, but they're bringing up somebody in the family, something about like daredevil behavior, like thrill seeker, daredevil, and then when this loss happened, that just stopped. Like somebody took a big left turn, either that's the person who passed or somebody as a result of it is no longer doing these things that really brought them joy and excitement. And there is a message to like get back on the bike, or get back on get back on it is what I'm hearing. Like, I don't know if it was a male that passed that wants somebody to get back into like the things they enjoy and the like racing down a mountain, or I wish we could do these calls live.
I know, maybe we should start figuring out a way.
I think we should start doing that.
Because we could record it separate and clip it into the...
Oh, that's really smart. Because it's like we see things so clearly and then people tell us after like, oh my God, that was exactly it. But I'm sure as a viewer, you're like, well, this is...
Yeah.
Where's the payoff?
We'll try and figure something out with that.
Yeah. So yes, I do believe there's still grief. I believe they're handling it in very different ways. And I would say that it will get better over time, but that they're not ready to really talk about it yet. Mm-hmm. And again, that daredevil thing came up. So I'm really curious what that means.
I also keep seeing like a big tent or something. Does that mean anything to you? I can't feel more into it. Big tent. Maybe it's not a tent. Something like, it just looks sort of triangular and drapey. I don't know how to explain it. Not getting clarity on that. But
like maybe this is somebody we can reach out to and do a little baby call with them and then put it on next week's.
Yeah.
Because I am feeling stuff. It's just so helpful when somebody can look at me and say, yeah, that connects. Then I can go deeper.
Dig deeper into it. Yeah. But like I said in the beginning, especially if it's something new, you're saying still grieving. So maybe it happened like within the past year. I'll tell you, the first couple years after losing my mom, I was not dealing with it in a healthy manner. I mostly ignored that it happened. And like I felt I like gave myself a hard time about that for a long time. Like I felt guilty that like I reacted by like going out and like partying a lot and stuff, which is not an absurd reaction. Like, that happens. People do that. That's pretty normal. But I made myself feel so bad. Like, oh, I was so bad. Like, I didn't. But I was just trying to numb myself and search for like kind of like fake joy and like whatever. And it's like not an absurd way to react. So I don't want you to do that. But I'm just saying, I just feel like this question is surrounded by this energy of like, are we doing a good job at the grief process?
Oh.
And so I just want to say, like,
yes.
Don't give yourself a hard time.
Yeah.
Maybe you're not, but so what? Grief is an insane thing to go through. It's something we'll all go through. And you're only human, and it's a learning process. And I've talked about this before of just like grief being like this cycle, but it's like this spiral staircase. And so every time you feel good and you feel pretty, stable, and then you go through a point in time where you feel angry and sad and all these awful feelings again. And I think you are going up this spiral as you cycle through it. So each time you go through the cycle of bad, so to speak, you learn how to deal with it a little bit better, a little bit healthier. And so just give yourself a lot of patience in the process. It's okay. Like, don't beat yourself up, and don't feel bad if one of your loved ones is not handling their grief and it's making you have a hard time. Just, I know how hard it is. And so just give everyone and yourself a lot of patience, and don't be afraid to ask for, I wish my dad offered to us multiple times, do you want to go to a grief counselor or a therapist? And I wasn't ready then, so I kept saying no. And so that's okay. That was my choice back then. But if that's something that you are ready for, or you want to do, like, don't be afraid to ask for it, or whatever it is that you need. Just don't be afraid to ask for what you need. Give yourself and everyone space and patience, and it's totally normal to not know how to deal with it and to feel like you're not doing a good job. Like, it's an absurd thing to have to go through, and I'm so sorry that your family is grieving. Yeah. But I hope this message was supportive, and we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, please reach out to us, because we would like to go a little deeper with you.
Yeah. Whew. Okay, well, we're sending you so much love, and to everyone that is grieving, we love you, we love you. I know this month I'm having a hard time because I call it my mom's angel birthday. She passed away 2 days before my Earth birthday. my born day. So it's always just hard to have that anniversary coming up. So I'm sending you lots of love, and let's wrap up the episode with a spooky time. We're gonna do another Ghosts of Hollywood.
Yay! I like these Ghosts of Hollywood. It's story time. We have our backpacks. This is appearance number 4.
Everybody gather around.
I have my roll-on perfume and my lip gloss in here. And my kombucha drink. And now it is story. I used to love in elementary school, after lunch, we would come in, they would read to us.
I was going to say, we're about to do this before nap time, everybody. All right. Should I just open up and see? I'm getting chills. Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ooh, or have you read the whole book? Maybe I can read one and you can
I have not. Okay, this is what came up. Wait, is this the one that we already read? That name sounds familiar. Does this person want us to go? No, this is a different one. I always try and scan it to make sure it's like a good one.
We could do popcorn reading, pass the book back and forth.
Yeah. Here, you can do it. That's the one I flipped.
Oh, the font is nice and big. I won't need my glasses.
Yes, it is.
Okay. The Ricardo Montalban Theater, 1615 North Vine Street, Hollywood, California, 90028. The historic Ricardo Montalban
Who knows?
Theater is located in the heart of Hollywood, just half a block south of Hollywood and Vine. The venue formerly formally opened as the Wilkes Vine Street Theater on January 9th, 1927, with Dreiser's The American Tragedy, and has been a landmark in the entertainment industry ever since. How come we've never heard of any of these places, by the way?
I don't know. We have so many places that we could visit.
Howard Hughes became the new owner a couple years later. He remodeled it and called it the Mirror Theater, which showed motion pictures.
Okay, who's Howard Hughes?
Howard Hughes is the guy, he ended up owning like all of Vegas. Howard Hughes is
okay. Because I read, that's what I was like, have I read this one before? Because I recognized that name, but I couldn't figure out why I recognized it.
They had that movie about him, didn't he? Was like, he would wash his hands over and over and over and over. He was like a total like
I don't think I saw the movie, but that's why I recognize the name.
He was like a brilliant mogul-y type of person. Was Howard Hughes the one who tried to get that thing to fly?
I don't know.
That huge thing to fly, and then
this is something Craig would know. He loves Las Vegas history.
And then it just didn't fly.
Howard Hughes flying machine.
Am I crazy?
Flying boat? I typed in
what
flying.
Am I thinking of? The person?
Oh, and the Spruce Goose?
The Spruce Goose!
Building the largest ever flying boat.
Yeah, I don't think it flew.
Did Howard Hughes Hercules ever fly? The Hercules is the largest flying boat ever built, and it had the largest wingspan of any aircraft that had ever flown until the... Okay, so it did fly. In 1947. How far did the Spruce Goose fly? 1 mile. Okay, so it didn't fly far.
And then it came back down.
There's footage. There's a lot to dig through.
Okay, so after
maybe we'll
this,
get
we're
a
gonna
picture
dig into
or
Howard Hughes.
Yeah.
But I do know that the mafia basically ran Vegas for like 20 or 30 years, and then Howard Hughes came in with 300 million and like bought up a bunch of the properties and sort of changed it to more of a family friendly.
Yep.
I had to do all my Vegas research before we went back.
You said that, and every time Craig takes me to Vegas, he tells me the story again.
Did you know? You're like, yes, I knew.
Such an old man. I'm like, yep, you already told me that. Thanks so much. Oh, but let me finish telling you again. I have the same conversations with my grandpa.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so Howard Hughes bought the building, called it the Mirror Theater. The marquee at the time read all the best talkies, which is what they called movies.
All the best talkies.
Only 25 cents. Kitties, 10 cents.
What are kitties? Oh, kids.
Kids, sorry.
Will you bring your cats? Sign me up, Howard.
During the Depression, the theater changed owners and was renamed the Lux Radio Playhouse. And by 1937, there was yet another new name, and they called it Studio Theater CBS Radio Playhouse, and then also KNX Vine Theater. So this really went through a lot of changes. In 1954, Huntington Hartford became the new owner. Hartford was the heir to the Great Atlantic and Pacific Tea Company fortune. That's a nice family to, to be the heir to. His grandfather, George Huntington Hartford, and his uncles, John and George, and Paul and Ringo, privately owned the A&P supermarket chain, which at one point had 16,000 stores in the U.S. Oh, I remember my grandma talking about the A&P. Oh. And was the largest retail empire in the world. He inherited their fortune. He bought the building for $200,000 from Columbia Broadcasting and extensively remodeled and, quote, modernized the theater at an additional cost of $750,000. I love knowing that even in these like wild times of like economic depression, there were still people dropping millions of dollars on things.
Yeah, think about what that money
what was that worth today? Anyways.
Yeah, a lot.
He streamlined the building from the facade to the lobby and through the auditorium. The new design was created by famed decorator of the stars Helen Conway, who gave it a fashionable look, popular at the time. They also put quotes around
There's so much information
fashionable.
that is not relevant to the ghost stories in these books. It's so funny to me.
Okay, I'm going to skip the next page because it's just more about...
I usually skip through it.
Okay.
It's just funny. It's like, I didn't need to know the 27 names or how much money they did use to remodel it. What are the ghosts?
The reason that he was the heir was because his uncles, who would have been the heirs, died. It's like, okay, that's not spooky.
Like, whoever wrote
that's
this
lucky.
Is kind of a dork.
That's lucky for that guy. Okay. All right. The show still goes on.
Ooh,
because the theater has such a rich star-studded history, even though they did not mention a single star. Oh, but Desi Arnaz was on the founding board at one point. Okay. Okay, let's get back to this. Oh, I asked psychic Victoria Gross and cameraman / paranormal researcher Barry Conrad to come along with me and see if any ghosts might be waiting for us in the wings. Now, this is interesting. We were greeted by Margarita Cannon, the artistic director of the Montalban Theater, and we asked if she or any other staff members had ever noticed any kind of paranormal activity. She told us that a security guard, as well as other employees who have stayed at the theater overnight, which, why would you stay at a theater overnight?
I don't know.
Theaters are notoriously haunted. Always hear lots of noises of an unexplained origin, and that she herself has seen a ghost on stage on more than one occasion. He's a young man, probably in his 30s, with blondish curly hair and wears a very colorful shirt. He looks like he's from the 70s, and when I see him, it looks to me like he's performing. He always seems to be aware that he's being seen, but then he always runs off. Margarita also said that she felt as though the theater had a lot of blocked energy. You know, you need to call us in there.
Mm-hmm.
Goddess
With all those changes,
in-person rescue.
Rescue team. With all those changes, I feel like that would make sense to me. Of like, the theater's like, who am I really?
Yeah, the theater's having an existential crisis.
Yes, call us in.
Quote, I got the feeling of a block from going forward, and it has felt that way for a number of years, and I just can't get it out. It's a big obstacle, and success here is difficult. It takes double effort all the time to get anything accomplished. It's not negative exactly, but it's like Mercury is in retrograde forever. There's a resistance to change. Being from New Mexico, I'm tuned into energy, and that energy here is very, very strong. Victoria agreed, and she said she felt as though it was like an invisible wall that you can't get through. It's as if somebody doesn't want anything to change. Sadie speaks to ghosts.
Wow.
Margarita then went on to tell us about the flow of famous people who had performed on the stage over the years. The theater is in the center of Hollywood, so anybody who was anybody has been on this stage. In recent years, we've had Alan Alda, Ben Viren, Lily Tomlin, Jack Black, the cast of Rent, and Jesus Christ Superstar. The theater used to be a roadhouse, so many New York productions came through here as well. Because it is so dark in the auditorium, Barry asked about the house lights. Okay, hold on. Barry asked that the house lights be turned on. The lights weren't bright, but helped quite a bit. Some of these details.
I'm saying the writer is like, I don't know who edited this book after somebody wrote it, but they weren't very good.
Then Victoria the medium, went off to investigate the balcony where she felt a presence while Barry and I remained on the stage. On her way upstairs, Victoria sensed quite a lot of turmoil on the stairs themselves, and then felt the strong presence of a spirit man and woman sitting up on the balcony. She felt that the man was from the 1950s and more of a guardian who was looking after the place, and that the woman was from a different time, but also a rather benevolent spirit. Doesn't benevolent mean friendly?
I think so. Let me look that up. Benevolent.
It sounds like it should mean friendly.
Bene would be a good...
Yeah. I think because it sort of sounds like violent, I always think benevolent is not positive.
Benevolent and malevolent. Bene, good. Mal, bad.
Okay. Margarita admitted that she feels spooked.
Oh, I got you. Well-meaning and kindly is the definition.
Okay.
Of benevolent.
That she feels spooked up in the balcony and avoids going up there whenever possible. I can never go up into the balcony without getting the feeling that I'm going to fall out of there and land on the first floor, so I do avoid going up there. The author tried taking a couple of photos on the balcony while Victoria was up there, but they came out completely black, even with the flash. Wouldn't it be funny if his hand was just covering the lens? I did, however, manage to capture a couple of very bright orbs on the stage's backdrop and one in the audience section as well. Victoria and I then went upstairs to check out the dressing rooms. At first, the atmosphere was rather flat and we didn't pick up much of anything, but as soon as we walked into the back dressing room on the second floor, Victoria's breathing became labored and she felt as though she had encountered a spirit who had a heart problem in life. She got the impression that it was a female energy from the 1940s. I can see her as a little girl with blonde hair and tap shoes, and I get the sense of the vaudeville era. But I feel as though she's coming back as an adult with black hair. What is it, Shirley Temple?
Yeah.
I'm getting the name Jolie or something like that, but she's also telling me that her stage name was Janet Mayer or Mayers. She doesn't just stay confined to this dressing room either. She walks around the theater because she loves this place. Okay, there's one more. Somebody else said that one night in the ladies' dressing room on the second floor, there was a vanity where nobody had sat for the last few days. One of the actors came in and was standing in front of it when suddenly it just collapsed and fell on him. And all of a sudden the lights went out. No one had touched or bumped the vanity beforehand, but that's the dressing room where we've had a lot of, quote, problems. That's where a lot of this stuff happens.
Oh.
Not long ago, the theater had been locked down for the night, but somebody unlocked the roof door. Nobody had been on the roof, but the door was somehow unlocked. Now, I'm a big guy and I'm not afraid of anything, but I wouldn't go up there, so I left the alarm off for the night and took care of it the next day instead. What are these details?
Now, I'm a big guy, but I'm not going on the lock up the roof door. That's your job, sir?
We're trying to give you spooky chills. I asked for the lights to be turned on. It was a little bit helpful, but it was still kind of dark.
And then I took a picture and it was black. I couldn't see anything.
I may have been holding the camera wrong. Okay.
We need to go through next time and highlight what we should read out loud.
I know. There's so much preparing. Like, enjoy a psychic reading that's one-sided and has no payoff.
We're
and then
learning.
A story.
We're here on episode 37.
A story with all these extra details you don't need.
Better.
David also says that periodically... Oh yeah, that's the technical director. I skipped over that part. The power suddenly goes out on the top floor. It's like all the bulbs have been unscrewed and they turn off all at once. Also, doors slam quite a bit and we hear all sorts of strange noises. In the upstairs men's bathroom, there's a heavy, dark, masculine presence that many people have felt. He also moves through the theater. That's the presence that makes me not want to go up to the tower, and probably the same presence that threw the vanity down. I've caught glimpses of this man in that dressing room, and so have other people. He seems to be about 6 feet tall and is wearing a suit, but I've only seen him from behind. I don't think I've ever, seen an apparition.
Yeah, I don't know if I have, because...
I sort of want to, but I've also made it so clear that I don't want to, that I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah. When I was little and I had night terrors, I don't know if that was seeing something or not. So it's possible I have, but I haven't walked through a place and seen a guy, or I would be open to that only if, listen up, only if it's a benevolent spirit, a nice spirit, and it's not something, and I don't want to be startled or scared. I don't want to be surprised. I want it to be, if I'm meditating and I feel like I'm connecting and I were to open my eyes and see and felt the presence of the energy being very, very calming and sweet, and it wouldn't freak me out, I would be open to seeing. But I don't want to be home alone and see someone walk past the doorway. That would be freaky.
Oh yeah, no thank you.
So not when I'm home alone. And if I'm doing a medium reading, or if I'm connecting with someone and someone wants to show themselves, I would be open to that. But very, very, I don't want it to just surprise me or something.
I skimmed the last 2 pages. Long story short, they've seen other things. They've felt other things.
They have a lot of ghosts.
A lot of ghosts. It feels mostly friendly. And they stay out of... The ghosts seem to stay out of the basement. And they made a joke that it's because the basement freaks the ghosts out. So they stay up on the stage. I've worked in theaters. We've chatted about this. I used to work in theaters for my dad's show. I would do front of house. And spooky haunted theaters are such a real thing. you would hear noises, weird things would happen. It was just, things would disappear and then show back up where you'd already looked, even though nobody moved it. Like, I completely agree with these. So we're going to have to then do a Ghosts of Hollywood little video tour. And go see these.
I know.
Here we are.
Like a vlog of us going on the Hollywood tour.
I love it. Well, how shall we wrap up today? Ghosts of Hollywood, surrendering. We have free gifts for you.
Let's chat for a moment about all the free gifts that we are dying to give you.
Please let us give you
ghosts dying.
It's your first day back to school gift.
So the first way you can get a free gift. The first way you can get a free gift is by leaving us a review on Apple Podcasts. Even if that's not where you listen, borrow your friend's phone. Go on Apple Podcasts. Whatever you need to do to get access to Apple Podcasts, I know you can figure it out. Go on there, type up a review, screenshot it, then click submit, then email the screenshot to goddesshangs@gmail.com, so then we can in return email you your free gift of a dreamy, juicy 10-minute goddess meditation that I've been using. It feels so good. It's our voices taking you through this beautiful visualization to integrate just divine goddess, great, amazing energy into your body and raise your vibration. The other way to get a free gift is to sign up for our new weekly love letter. So we are emailing you once a week, every Monday. What an amazing way to start your week. Yes. You get a lowdown on what's to come in this week's episode. You get a goddess energy reading, and you get my favorite Goddess Hangs challenge. I just feel like we can listen to all the podcasts, we can read all the books, but it's sometimes we don't really know how to integrate these amazing things we're learning into our lives. So the Goddess Hangs challenge we created to challenge you, offer you a journaling prompt / exercise, some action you can take to integrate the theme of that week's podcast into your life. And we are doing it along with you. With that, we also created a little Facebook group, so we're hoping we can get lots of you goddesses to join. So we can all chat about how we are participating in the Goddess Hangs challenge and how we're just learning and growing and having so much fun together. So the links are all below for this. And when you sign up for our weekly love letter on our email list, we are sending you my famous money spell. So as soon as you sign up, it'll email with you within a few minutes. Make sure you find that welcome email and add us to your address book so that you start getting our emails in your regular inbox. And the money spell is there for you to do. I mean, it manifested that big Vegas gig for us and so much more.
Yes.
So it's powerful, powerful, powerful. And we can't wait to connect with you more in this way. It's been so fun, so well received so far. It's really fun to make, and we're excited to see where it takes us. So other than that, follow us on Instagram at Goddess Hangs. I am Sadie Olson.
I'm at Juliet.Piper.
Make sure you are subscribed to us wherever you listen. If you're on YouTube, smash that like button. Leave a comment of something that stood out to you in today's episode or that you want us to know. What did you want to be when you were 10 years old? Is it happening for you? How can we help you make it happen? We can't wait to see you, and thank you for listening. Bye.